Dr. Becker was shot at a gay bar, so it's time for Must Have Seen TV, the podcast dedicated to the sitcoms of the 20th century. From I Love Lucy to News Radio, I'm your TV guy, Brett White, and sometimes I do drag as Barb Hardley, and sometimes I also host this podcast. One of those sometimes is now. And say hello to the dog slash tree slash man to my house slash house slash house. Ethan K. Hi.
Hey Brett, that joke will only make sense if you know this episode, and we will walk you through it so you will understand that gag.
Well, everyone knows Becker. Everyone knows Becker. Everyone knows the iconic two-parter where Becker gets shot.
Everybody in 1999 when this came out knew Becker.
Yeah,
it was a popular show. It ran 120, I think 129 episodes, 6 seasons. That's so many seasons. And it is not spoken about anymore. This isn't like Life with Luigi where it lasted like 13 episodes and then got, taken down by a mob. It lasted 6 seasons, 129 episodes, starring Ted Danson. This was his big career comeback after Cheers.
And a blackface incident.
That did happen.
People totally just forgot about that. That was like early 90s.
I didn't forget about all the jokes about him going bald. There was a lot of toupee balding jokes.
Yeah.
I like to think that Ted Danson has kind of gotten on the right track.
Yeah, he's had some I think shows. Not many people were on the right track in 1990.
No.
Or whenever.
1990, yeah, whenever.
The early 90s. I mean, because he was dating Whoopi Goldberg, I think.
Yeah.
That's a wild.
That was before he met Mary Steenburgen.
Oh, right.
And they're married to this day.
And she's in the book club franchise.
Well, she was also in Step Brothers and Elf. Great films.
Back to the Future 3.
Back to the Future 3.
My favorite Back to the Future when I was a child, even though I don't like Westerns.
I've only seen it once, and when it first came out. I want to say I've seen Back to the Future 2 a lot of times, but only Back to the Future 3 once. Very strange.
Should watch it.
I guess in my youth, I didn't feel like I need the trilogy to be finished.
Well,
just happy with 2.
If you're a fan of the canon as seen in the Saturday morning Back to the Future cartoon, you would need to watch Back to the Future 3 because that is what introduced, Jules and Vern, Doc Brown's children.
Yes.
Anyway,
I love Mary Steenburgen. She's great in Elf. She's great in Step Brothers. I don't watch the book club movies because I don't watch a lot of movies. You know how it is.
You should watch. In the past week, I've watched 80 for Brady and Book Club 2. If it's a movie starring four actresses of certain ages, I'm on board.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, what do we have any business?
Gentlemen.
Business.
I haven't looked at
I love the fact that G.I. Joe the movie starts with essentially just like a board meeting. It's just like all of them being like, what this mission, you turn tail and ran. No, order. It's just, God. This is all them like negging Cobra Commander for 10 minutes.
That's how you run a business. An evil business has meetings.
It took the Serpent Man to get in charge to finally put them in order.
Right. The Serpent Man.
Serpentor.
Serpentor.
Yeah, please leave comments and email, etc., etc. And if you didn't go watch our special heart-to-heart mansion tour,
we didn't get a lot of views on that one, but we did get a lot of views on the heart-to-heart episode itself. So thank you very much.
Please go watch and see the insanity that I built.
I also think it's amazing that Laverne and Shirley, one of the greatest shows of the 80s, our episode has like 8 views. Whereas like
I
Alfred
guess
Hitchcock Presents has over 1,000. We are
people,
inconsistent.
the fandoms, they want what they want. Uh, well, I was
Indeed.
thinking we should do like a pandering round where we just, whatever the most viewed of the 50s, 60s, we just do episodes from those shows just to see if it hits again. Just
Well,
to
we
see.
did with it's not going to happen next episode because, and we'll tell you why, but we did get someone take us up on the Family Affair challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend, our mutual friend, Jessica, one of my favorite people, one of my top 5 people in the world, reached out and said that she liked Family Affair and gave us particular episodes of which we should partake of Family Affair. So it's coming. It's not happening today, and it's not happening next episode, and we will tell you why in a minute.
And also, I guess not the one after that. But we'll be.
But we will do Family Affair again, and we'll see. Maybe it's magic. Maybe it's lightning in a bottle. We don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't think so. I think it's gonna be rough going. But we can talk about this week when we are traveling to November 8th, 1999. Pokemon, the first movie, ruled the box office. It's literally the title.
That's a good
And
one.
Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas topped the charts, and CBS aired the Becker episode Stumble in the Bronx. Ethan, you must have seen Stumble in the Bronx before today.
I've seen Becker episodes, but I have not seen Stumble in the Bronx,
Have
which
you seen
surprised
Rumble
me.
in the Bronx?
I have seen Rumble in the Bronx. It's a
Okay,
great Jackie Chan
so
film.
have I. And oddly enough, this episode doesn't take place in the Bronx, or is it set in the Bronx?
It's partially in the Bronx, and then it moves down to Brooklyn, and then it stays in Brooklyn for the rest of the episode.
Wait, so the stumble happens in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
The
So
stumble because he's shot.
the whole point is that he gets shot in not even an altercation. Some other people are fighting and they shoot a gun and he gets shot in Brooklyn. It is clearly supposed to be Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they're not going to take him to a hospital in the Bronx if he's shot in Brooklyn.
Yeah. But his practice is in the Bronx.
His practice is in the Bronx.
God, man, leave it to 90s sitcoms to be like, yeah, the Bronx, white people, just white people. Just the whitest versions of New York you will ever see is on. And Becker was actually comparatively diverse compared to every other New York set sitcom.
Every other New York. I've been to the Bronx. I mean, I'm from, I lived in New York for 15 years. I've been to the Bronx a number of times. I cannot vouch for how it is portrayed in the show because there were virtually no exteriors.
Yeah.
There's a very nice coffee shop. Becker's office is pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks very suburban. It's very strange.
But November 8th, 1999, I looked up what happened on this date. What was the
aside from Becker?
Aside from Becker, well, there's one person who did not watch Becker, and it was the victim of the first internet murder.
Oh, wait. Is it like an X-Files demon came through the cables and
No, nothing.
it was
that
just
fun.
we met in an AOL chat room and I got murdered kind of thing?
No, we met in an AOL chat room and I want you to kill my husband.
Oh, that's a classic tale.
Yeah, well, it's a classic tale starting November 8th, 1999, because it didn't happen before then.
No,
but
that's nice.
That's what happened on this day in 1999 after, was it before or after Becker? I don't know. It would be unfortunate if the victim missed this episode of Becker because it is a hoot.
Yeah.
It's got some hot jokes, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I never watched Becker because I had brand loyalty with NBC. I was ride or die. And ABC, in terms of quantity of shows I watched, it was NBC, then ABC, then Fox, and then CBS also existed. And
CBS was like home shopping network. You knew it existed, but you didn't really tune in.
It was for old people. This was an old people show. I was like, I don't think so.
You
Uh,
couldn't, you as a 13-year-old could not relate to a middle-aged doctor in the Bronx?
I don't know. I mean,
Huh?
I was watching Mad About You around this time, so like, what? How could I
Well,
relate to that?
I gotta say that my friend group and myself, we were mad about Becker because I remember watching quite a bit of Becker, and because the jokes were good. The jokes are still like, wow,
Yeah,
it's hard to write down plot for these because comparatively to, let's say, Bewitched, it's less plot and more gags.
just him walking from place to place being cantankerous. But this week on Must Have Seen TV, we'll be talking about the Becker episode "Stumble in the Bronx." Is the eighth episode of season 2, and it was written by, holy shit, Matthew Weiner, the goddamn creator of Mad Men. Was a staff writer on Becker and the story editor.
And it was
Directed by Andy Ackerman.
and it was
Uh,
created by David Hackle, who also created Wings and Dear John.
That's so nuts. Here's how Pluto TV describes the episode. Dr. John Becker gets shot and Francis Fisher guest stars as his doctor. Ethan, how accurate is that description? How thorough is that description?
Isn't that literally the description is 3 words? Becker gets shot.
Yeah, that's it. When you pitched it, you were like, we have options. One is, was it something about like racial slurs?
Oh yeah, I wanted to do like the latest in the 90s we could do, which was like December 16th, 1999. Like after that it was all Christmas TV and there was like
Yeah.
no other episodes. But it was like he goes off on some rant at a cafe and he's overheard, and he in this episode we didn't do, it becomes a whole like scandal. Someone writes an article about this particular doctor in the Bronx that hates XYZ.
Oh
And
God.
I was like, you know what? It's not well rated and it's kind
But
of
you were like,
problematic.
it's either that one or Becker gets shot. And I was like, oddly enough, Becker gets shot sounds like a lighter watch.
Becker Gets
Um,
Shot was one of the top rated episodes of the season on
and why
IMDb.
wasn't it titled Becker Gets Shot? It's just that's what it should be called. Becker Gets Shot.
Becker Gets
Uh,
Shot.
when I also am glad because I was, oh my God, yeah, this is 1999. So like, you say Becker gets shot nowadays, I'd be like, oh fuck, like what public space was he in that was like, but we live in a gun crazy country where we're all going to end up getting shot at some point because no one will do anything about it, and you're not safe literally anywhere no matter where you are. And so that, but so I was going into this expecting like we're going to get preached to, there's going to be some like, it's going to be tough. And no, like it's just Becker gets like accidentally shot because two guys start arguing about a parking space, and they wildly shoot in the air, and he gets shot from like a block away.
Which is 1999 Brooklyn. I can't really speak to that, but I guess people would argue with guns in 1999 Brooklyn. Correct us if I'm wrong on the
Yeah.
comments.
Well, because we know what Giuliani was cleaning up in Manhattan, Times Square, squeaky
Yeah.
clean.
And Giuliani is referenced in this episode. It was the height of the Giuliani
Oh
years.
God, the Giulianaissance. What a dumbass.
Things have changed for Mr.
Oh,
Giuliani.
so I'm trying to. So the opening credits are, they feel of a piece with the Spin City opening credits,
Yeah, it's walking around the city to jazz music.
but it's like highly blown out, like a very basic iMovie level effect
Yeah.
on top, like that kind of vibe. Like the Malcolm in the Middle opening credits are very much like that.
It's a
That
90s aesthetic. It's a
had
very
like grunge,
90s.
like
Yeah.
we're either gonna sell you fruit chews or a sitcom's about to start. Like that's or like here's the new game for the N64.
Smoking is whack. Oh my God, this kid is smoking.
These are
Smoking
your brains
kills.
on Becker. And
We once that's done. Oh, by the way, we watched this on Pluto TV. I watched this on Pluto TV. It seems to be the only place that is streaming Becker, although the DVD set is out there.
right. And I will also, we should honestly, I need to look into getting into sponsorship from Pluto, because I will say it, no other streaming service gives a rat's ass about classic television the way Pluto TV does.
Yeah.
I say this on the heels of Prime Video / Freevee removing the Bob Newhart show, making it unavailable to watch unless you own the DVDs, which I do.
Yeah.
What I really love about Pluto TV is that the commercials that Pluto TV runs that advertise other Pluto TV channels, which are usually all like show theme, like there's an I Love Lucy channel,
Oh.
they are very, very, very reminiscent of 80s and 90s Nick at Night commercials.
Now I watched it on my laptop, so all I got was Burger King
Yeah, all I
commercials, which
got was
is
the
not a
Burger
bad
King.
thing.
Yeah, because this is we watched Becker on demand. If you just like tune into Pluto and we're watching it linearly, then like they do that thing where they will take um moments from episodes and like string them all together to create a 30-second spot of like, Lucy going wah or something like that.
Oh.
Like to the point where I'm like, can I get a job making commercials for Pluto TV? Because
Uh,
I love that shit.
I'm a little unfamiliar with their interface. It kept switching. If I paused it for more than a couple seconds, it would switch me to an episode of My Three Sons. So I'm
Ooh,
like, oh, I want to watch Becker because I'm watching it for this podcast, but oh, My Three Sons is on, and there's William Frawley. It all
yes,
comes
good.
back.
What I love about it though is like there's a Love Boat channel, and so when I don't have anything, when I don't know what to put on, I'll just go to the Love Boat channel, and it doesn't matter when or where you stop or start a Love Boat episode. Just jump in, jump out, just like the pool, baby. I love. But yeah, so the first, oh my god, okay, the first scene of the episode is it opens in the diner, which is the hangout spot.
Yes, it's the diners featured in every episode. It's the one that they do the most set dressing on. All the characters are there. It appears once per episode
Well, because like Becker
at
is
least.
most of the half of the cast are just like people that are in that diner. They have nothing to do with his medical
Yeah.
practice.
So the people that are in the diner are Reggie, played by Terry Farrell from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, if you might remember
Oh,
her.
wait, who is
As
she on Deep Space Nine?
she was Dax, Lieutenant Commander
Okay,
Dax.
people love Dax.
And she left the show. She left Deep Space Nine to be in Becker, and then she got replaced midway through the show with Nancy Travis.
Oh wow. Oh,
Yeah.
so Becker had some cast turnover because
Yeah.
Jorge Garcia from Lost is on the art on
Because
Pluto.
yes, because there's the character of Bob,
Yeah,
played by Severio Guerra,
that guy's
but
a no thanks.
well, his character is very ill-defined, and he left. He's like, I want. Or he wanted to leave for the last season, so they got Jorge Garcia to replace
Oh,
him.
only so he also, if I'm not mistaken, Severio Guerra was also Whistler on Buffy. I'm going to
Oh,
look. Was that true? Am I wrong? Oh
he's
god.
just a
Yes.
regular here.
No, he was Willie the Snitch. That's who he was. He wasn't Whistler. He was Willie the Snitch in 5 episodes of Buffy. That's where I knew him from. God,
And
he
the
was on
other,
90 episodes of Becker as Bob.
yeah. So he wasn't there for 30,
Jesus.
39 of them. Also in the diner is the character of Jake, played by Alex Desert. He had a great sitcom career, and now he does voices. He is Carl currently in The Simpsons, and he was Nick Fury in a couple Marvel animated projects.
Is he
So,
really blind?
no, he is not.
Okay. Okay.
He is not blind.
He is blind on the show, which is, again, an example of like, hey, we have representation is not a new thing.
We're not going to hire a blind
like,
actor.
No, we're not going to do that. But
we're going to, yeah.
But I mean, people act like what I don't know anything about Doctor Who, but I know that there were some idiots that were mad about just Doctor Who acknowledging that people in wheelchairs exist or something.
Oh my God.
And like just losing their minds. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
They went nuts about a trans character for these 3 specials they had right before Christmas. They got hate mail for it. And it's like, what the
people exist, baby.
People exist, baby. People exist in the 21st century.
Yeah. Santa Claus can have a wheelchair as well. if Target wants to sell those figurines, let them. It doesn't hurt you. Anyway, sorry.
So we start off. Let's get into the episode because we have padded this out with a lot of just additional just commentary. The cold open is that Reggie is in a class for psychology.
Psychiatry. So yeah, psychology. And so she's like testing with Jake about like, oh, let's do some word association. He does say like, oh, if you're wanting to do ink blots, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's like, dun-dun-dun. Which is a nice subtle way of letting you know this character is blind without being like, as a blind person, I hope it isn't ink blot. Good.
I mean, I don't think he has to say that at the top of every episode for new watchers, but I mean, it is helpful if you're not familiar with the show.
Every episode of X-Men, the focused totality of my psychic powers, etc.
I'm nigh invulnerable when I'm
vulnerable when I have my walking cane. No, so yeah, so it's just word association, and it's like a little fun gag of like she says dog, he says house, tree, house. Man, I can only think of house now. Like, yeah, okay, fun.
Yeah, we explained the joke at the beginning of the show. Woohoo! We did it!
Yay! Well, so Becker comes in. Becker's got a game. His thing of this episode is he's sick of helping people.
He's the doctor that hates helping people. Take that Hippocratic oath and shove it.
It kind of feels like someone was like, Frasier's doing really well. What if we took Sam and made him Frasier? Like that's kind of the vibe of this.
Made him the anti-Frasier.
Because he's so angry.
He's angry at everybody. He's angry because he got woken up today by a kid selling candy bars to go to Disneyland. And he's like, you know what? I've been to Disneyland, and you know what? It doesn't need more kids.
Good joke. And true.
It's true. I mean, Disneyland should be for adults. Come on now, people.
Yeah. And then we get the little gag with Bob, because like Bob comes in and he takes the March of Dimes can because he put that there months ago, and apparently it's a March of Mimes.
Yes, he created a fake charity. He's scamming a charity by having the March of Mimes because he's going through a divorce that's not mentioned any other time. Bob shows up, takes the money, makes 2 jokes, and then he leaves. So if I'm not familiar with Becker, I have no idea who Bob is. And I haven't seen Becker in a long time, so I no idea who Bob is.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, that's the guy from Buffy. And even then I thought he was a different character. But anyway, William Whistler, very similar.
Did you also notice that Becker was smoking in the cafe? 1999,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah, that's wild too.
Yeah, he just lit up right in the cafe.
Yeah,
he's Reggie wants to do the word association with him. It's dog, leave, house, me, man, alone. Leave me alone. Because he's cantankerous and he hates it.
Jake has to like go downtown to like renew his license to sell newspapers.
Yeah, he's got the little like newsstand in the cafe.
Yeah, there's a fun bit like when she's like, hey, do you have time to do this word association? He's like, well, I've already cut the strings off of the newspapers, and the only thing else I have to do is go home. So yeah, that's all he does.
And Reggie says, oh, you need a license to sell newspapers? He goes, yeah, you need a license to sell food, right? And Reggie looks really guilty. I kind of like that gag too.
Yeah, just like all of a sudden she's writing something down. Yeah,
I'm an unlicensed cafe.
He tries to get Becker to like drive him down to Brooklyn from the Bronx, which is like, okay, no. Yeah. So here's the thing. Becker's got a car.
A car.
Subway from Bronx to Brooklyn, like, okay, well, get ready for a never-ending journey. Get ready to go on the Odyssey Odysseus. Like,
yeah, it is not easy. And I can imagine as a blind person, it's also just a little extra more difficult. But yeah. Becker's like, no, I'm not going to, because even driving from the Bronx to Brooklyn is still like, it's not great.
Yeah, it is New York City. And, Becker's got a job. There are men with who want penile enhancements that need to be consulted.
Well, also, why would someone need to go to Brooklyn to renew a license from the Bronx? Like the Bronx is
borough specific?
it should be borough specific. Every borough
Yeah,
is basically its
everything
own
else is,
county.
yeah,
So
that is true.
this is a contrivance by someone who probably was not filming and writing in New York, but was
Well,
probably
Matt
writing in
Weiner
LA.
knows about 1960s New York. He doesn't know as much about 1990s New
Well, we
York.
only know that from Mad Men. He might have had to like study up on 1960s New York
No,
before he wrote Mad Men.
well, maybe he wrote Becker with maybe in the 1960s, the newspaper selling license was one office and it was in Brooklyn.
I want to think that he did his master's degree in 1960s New York, and everything that he writes takes place
How
in
can I use
1960s.
this? Oh, right. I will say, like, it weirdly makes a lot of sense that he apparently came up writing sitcoms. I didn't fucking know that because Mad Men is very funny a lot of the time. But so it's
I've
very
never
strange.
I've never watched it because as an advertiser, I think it would kind of be a little weird for me. The same way that Megan, who was like a former, restaurant worker, can't watch The Bear
Yeah.
because she says become her whole personality.
Oh yeah, and it's also how, I can't really watch Bob season 1 without being like, you can't make a comic in a day. Like, anyway. Uh, but yeah, so we get a scene at Becker's office, and the first part of it is his I'm assuming his receptionist or
Yeah,
his
Margaret, played by
team.
Hattie Winston.
Well, the ditzy
Oh,
one hot glues her, not hot glues, Jesus.
the
Super
ditzy
glues.
one, the ditzy one is Linda, played by Shawnee Smith, who
She
you might
super
know from
glues
the Saw
herself.
franchise.
Oh
She
God,
super glued. Yes, I'm sorry, I keep
herself to a
interrupting you.
skeleton because she was like, "You were telling me to like familiarize myself with the bones, and I was looking at the hand, and the finger fell off, and so I super glued it. The super glue works."
She super
Uh,
glued herself to a Shawnee Smith. You is kind of like the big name with the Saw franchise right now.
hmm.
She was also in a punk band called $5 Ho.
Wow.
Yeah, which according to IMDb, all of the cast of Becker went to see $5 Ho at some point
Oh my
while they were
God.
touring.
I mean,
Why does
what this
IMDb
does,
tell me these
I
things?
don't, geez, what this does is it gives us a really fun visual gag of her walking around, essentially like she's Jean Brady and the skeleton is George Glass. Like it's fun. Just behind her is this
Yeah,
skeleton
she's
on wheels.
like they're holding hands.
Yeah, it's cute.
Um, and we get there, and there's a Becker has to escort somebody out, and just says, "And by the way, that thing you asked me about, I'm not an expert in penile enlargement surgeries." Um, but
But you should try getting a Chevrolet first or something. Like,
yeah, get a Mercedes first. But the patient who's asking for the penile implant is Russ Woody, who's the executive producer of the show.
wow,
He wrote like a bunch of episodes too.
that's fun.
Yeah, this weird trivia that I learned. But Jake calls and says, "Hey, I
Oh
got
yeah.
robbed."
Yeah, because so he calls from Brooklyn where he's in a phone booth and he's like, I got like robbed. And basically, like Becker, they ask like, what kind of neighborhood or like should you be like, I'm in the kind of neighborhood that would rob a blind person. Like that's,
Yeah.
which is, I think is a very funny way to describe for them to describe that neighborhood from a
And he
blind
said,
person.
"Are you sure you're in Brooklyn?" He says, "Yeah, the guy who robbed me told me I was in Brooklyn." And then he goes, can you be sure?" He's like, "I believed him when he said he had a gun."
Yeah. That's good.
It's good. It's crisp writing. Crisp writing.
So Becker
So
goes down to
he
like
drives the
pick him
car.
up. And this is
It
a
is
very
dark.
nice, it's a big soundstage for New York. I'm wondering, like, that definitely is a soundstage, a New York soundstage that just exists, and I'm sure a bajillion
Yeah.
shows use.
Yeah. It's the same thing that LA shows use for every New York thing. You just shoot it from different angles.
Yeah.
And now this is Brooklyn. As they're walking away, Becker's griping about it because Becker gripes about everything. And there are two men that are complaining over a parking space. They're both now that both of their cars are parked, and I think they were arguing about parking too close. They get into a fist fight. One of them pulls a gun, which just ugh. Um, just very scary because that kind of shit does happen.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And he shoots, and Becker gets hit in the shoulder and falls straight down. And we go to commercial.
Isn't it like right after he says like I'm sick of like people asking me for help, like
Yeah.
and they're like fully a block away. Like they've already passed these people. Like has Jake, he's like holding on to Jake and they're walking and it's like they're like tussling with the gun and it goes off. It's an accident or something. Like he gets shot. And I mean, I don't know. I guess kudos to them for not like having it be like blood and like, oh no, like just
Yeah.
it really is just he just like falls over and it's like,
This
oh
this was not a very special episode of Becker. This was like this was played for laughs.
yeah.
He falls down and he says, "I need help."
And we go to
Um,
the doctor's office
we go to the doctor's office
where we see
and
a frequent TV cop
Troy
uh
Evans.
who was on he was one of the cops on wait no he was on was he the cop on ER who became a reception who is he
You might remember him, listeners, from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, where he played Roger Podacter.
maybe that's right so I
That
just
was his
realized I
big
was getting him
thing.
confused with the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine because that's not him. Troy
No, it is
Evans.
not. It is not Dan Blocker.
Oh, he's on 4 episodes of Bosch Legacy, 59 episodes of Bosch. Good, good, good. Good for him.
I remember
I'm looking at the
he was the angry hotel guest in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
yes. So he appeared in the pilot episode of ER as a cop. I love this little thing. So he appears in the pilot episode as a cop, and then show me the actual episodes he was on. And then 5 seasons later, season 6, he like joins in the season finale as like the new front desk receptionist, and he's the same character.
Oh, he's the same character.
Yeah, and so like they give him the same name, and he was like he's an ex-cop who's now working, and then he's on the show for the next 9 seasons. He's on season 6 through 15 of VR. Yeah, like so that's how I recognized him. And I was like, ah, fun.
He's a very recognizable actor. Usually plays cops.
So this scene, there are two things. One, funny. Two, it does introduce a very weird, very like succinctly, specifically late 90s joke add-on of so when Becker was shot, he happened to be shot in front of a gay bar, and like some men from the gay bar like saved his life, like and he pulled him in, you know.
Yes.
And so since he was picked up at the gay bar, now everyone thinks he's gay. And this is a very late 90s thing because it's like, oh, we're cool to acknowledge that gay people like exist casually now. Let's make jokes. And now there is a like so the cop comes out and there was one really good exchange that I really liked, and he was like, okay, you were helping your friend, your special friend, and Becker's like, no, he's not. Like, no, he's special in that like he's blind, but he doesn't, but like he's not special to me. Oh, so you can see other people. No, I can see other people. He can't. And like, oh, that doesn't seem fair. And it's like that's good.
I like where he first introduces it and just the language that he says. He's asking some question. He goes, when did you leave the drinking establishment catering exclusively to homosexuals?
Yeah.
Just the way that was strung together felt oddly professional.
Oh, and then he had to like read basically like the boilerplate that Giuliani's making all cops read to gay
I wrote
people.
it down.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
Is that thing a real thing, is it?
No. Mayor Giuliani wants us to inform you that the NYPD believes alternative lifestyles are a wonderful part of the rich tapestry that is New York.
Not anymore. Definitely does not anymore. But yeah, so this introduces like so I liked this scene, but then like the fact that it then like continues when Becker said, now everyone thinks I'm the Staten Island Fairy, and I'm like, okay, that's a step too far for me.
I remember a history teacher of mine in high school made that joke. Just what? And I didn't get it at the time.
Ugh.
It took me like a couple minutes to get it.
Yeah, it's weird. But he does get a lot of guests. He's being a jerk to all the nurses.
He's being a jerk to all the nurses. He doesn't want it to get out that he was in the gay bar.
Yeah.
But they flash over to the office, and Linda, the front desk worker who had glued herself to the skeleton, answers the phone and says, "Dr. Becker was shot in a gay bar, so we'll have to reschedule your appointment."
Yeah. This is very funny.
Um,
Oh, she was like, I knew that he was repressing something. It really does seem like, I don't know, like, did they do a pass of this episode and they were like, we're really light on jokes in this one section. What can we do? Just quickly add in a bunch of jokes. Gay bar.
Hit
Cool.
that button.
Like, boom. And this insert just a bunch of gay jokes in here.
Yeah. I do feel like that is like a late 90s, mid to late 90s kind of thing. And I keep going back to Spin City,
Yeah.
where it's one of the first shows that has like a gay character that is
Series
credited
regular.
series
Yeah,
regular. Like, and I feel like they did the same thing with his character, where it was like, oh, we can, we feel okay to press that button. We
I
feel
feel
okay to
like
like and subscribe.
it's very like, we couldn't make these jokes regularly or ever on TV for decades.
Except
But
soap.
now that Ellen's come out, we can just rip on gay people.
Exactly.
And it is similarly, if you go back and watch a lot of sitcoms, like New Girl and Happy Ending specifically, like from the late basically 2008 to like 2011, there is a lot of racial humor because like it's a lot of like, oh, you say that because I'm your black friend, or like, no, come on, my homie. Like, just like a lot of like with black characters and white characters, there's a lot of just like racial humor that feels very, we just elected Barack Obama. So now we can talk about how you're like the black friend. Oh, you giving me chicken goes on the black, like that kind of stuff. And like, it makes like, I don't know, it's weird seeing how newer sitcoms have immediately become dated in a very specific way. And this feels very of that same piece of like,
It does feel. I forgot about Ellen. And I think that I feel weird to like. I always go back to Spin City because that was a character that it was not trumpeted in the media. Ellen was kind of the test balloon
yeah,
where there was a lot of spotlight on Ellen when she came out. So
and it did not work.
it did not work, but then it became a normalized kind of thing.
Well, and Will and Grace is on the air at this point because I think it was on for like a year and a half. I think it might have debuted the same season as Becker. So yeah, so there's just like a lot of miscellaneous gay jokes that it feels like Matthew Weiner has just had in a drawer for a long time. And he's like,
Since the 60s.
Since the 60s. He's like, in a couple years, Sal Romano's gonna get fired. Never seen again. Anyway. So that's
the rest of the episode takes place in the hospital room.
This is where so like what's her name? Reggie. Like she comes, Bob comes. And this is where I was like, man, this guy would not be welcome in the like the asshole who you barely know at the diner is gonna come visit you with flowers.
They only have so many characters in the show.
Yeah, it's like gotta get them all in.
All the regulars have to show up. Reggie, I thought this was funny that Becker's asleep and she goes, "Hey, Becker." And he goes, "What?" And she goes, "It's me, Reggie." He goes, "You woke me up to tell you that?"
Yeah.
Tell me that. And she goes, I came a long way. I want the credit for the visit.
Yeah, there's a lot of like he keeps trying to fall asleep and like a nurse wakes him up to give him some sleeping medication.
Yeah.
Like just then they all start getting into like talks about like soap operas. Like there's a lot of just like Becker being annoyed. Becker's annoyed.
Yeah, that was his whole character, even when he's not shot.
I mean, I would
Um,
also be annoyed if the nurses were like loudly talking about a soap opera plot while forcing me to like while changing my linens and rolling me over on my injured shoulder.
his doctor is played by Frances Fisher, um, a an actor of well renowned. She's done a ton of work. Um, she
Yeah.
was in uh, Titanic. She was
Mm,
in Eureka. She was in the Watchmen TV show.
there we go.
She's been very busy. And she's great in this. She plays a surgeon that hates everybody too.
Yeah. I honestly was like, oh, and she was with Clint Eastwood for a while. I was waiting for them to like, you know, hit it off.
Well,
Is that next week?
that's next week because
uh,
baby, this is a two-part episode.
oh, yeah, because they have like a moment of like tension where they're like really yelling at each other, and then she apologizes to him.
Because she really laid into him.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not professional. She's on the job. Like she's a doctor. He's a doctor, sure, but he's still a patient. He doesn't want to be a patient. He's not acknowledging that he's a patient because he wants to leave. But she just unloaded both barrels at him,
Yeah. And
which
very
I
good
shouldn't
at it.
say because he was shot.
And yeah, that like and then she's like, well, if you get up and leave, like you have a polyp on your spleen or something,
A,
or you
a
got
hematoma. It's
hematoma,
serious.
a polyp, geez. And and you could like, yeah, erupt and die or fall down in 20 minutes. He's like, I don't care. I'm
Because
leaving.
I'm the better doctor.
I'm the Becker doctor.
And she says, if I need advice about the sniffles, then I'll come to you. But I'm a trauma doctor. You've been shot.
And then she drops the microphone that she's inexplicably carrying. Just kidding.
No.
And then so then we
And
see
she
Becker
shoots him again
outside. Yeah, she pulls out her another gun.
because it's
And
Brooklyn.
outside Becker, like Jake is coming in presumably to visit him.
Yeah.
And then they have like a very like, because Becker starts acting very like entitled and whiny of just like, I don't like feeling helpless. I don't like blah, blah. And Jake's like, you're saying this to the blind man? Like, talk to me
Yeah.
whenever you've had to like carry this, walking stick around everywhere. Like, or just flashback to 10 minutes ago in on the show when I was robbed in Brooklyn.
Uh People get robbed
Yeah,
in Brooklyn. It sucks.
I was expecting Becker to have. It is interesting that I expected the episode to turn where he was like, oh, yeah, okay. And then they get in the cab and it was like, no, but he's still pissed. He still gets in a cab and like leaves. He's like, there's no
Yep.
resolution.
Hopefully he goes up to the Bronx and goes to a Bronx doctor. You know that because this is a two-parter. This is the secret that I was trying to keep from everybody. It's a two-parter.
To
And
be
we're gonna do the
continued.
next. Yeah, we're gonna do the next episode next. So it's gonna be a double 90s episode.
Back to back.
A block of 90s. The hits of yesterday. Um, but yeah, I can imagine that he gets in a cab, the hematoma acts up, and he ends up for some reason back at this hospital.
Oh, is that going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You can't waste an actor like Frances Fisher in like this part of the episode. No, she's gonna come back.
Yeah. Well, apparently she recurred. At least on her Wikipedia. Does recur just mean 2 episodes?
No, I think it was more like 9. It wasn't a
Okay.
whole lot. But yeah, she did. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Now I gotta look it up. But yeah, it was 5 episodes. So she was recurring.
And we're going to do all 5 episodes.
It's a
3
classic
months
rock
of Becker
block.
coverage
Um,
for all you Becker heads out there.
that's a weird one.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, so tune in to find out what happens on the saga of Becker. Are you ready for the must-haviest facts
Yeah, the
of
heaviest of
this? So, 10.7 million households watched this episode of Becker. 10.7.
That's a lot of households.
It was ranked number 16 for the week, which is about where it was for this season. So, like, that's those CBS shows. NBC, they're all in the top 10. CBS hitting right underneath. ABC, all over the place. Well, we'll see. Here's what ABC was doing. The top 5 shows for that week. Number 5, The Wonderful World of Disney's Annie
Oh,
was the number 5. Uh, and then tied for 3 was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Sunday edition and the NFL Monday Night Football. 2 was Friends and 1 was the ER. Now, this is back when we were getting 3 nights of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire a week.
that's so much nights of Who Wants to Be
Why?
on.
How did this happen?
It was such a hit.
It was so it was thinking like nowadays, whenever they do the multiple, like Big Brother is on 3 nights a week, but it's like, well, that is a essentially like a real-time reality soap opera. And so there are like storylines that you're following with these people and very show's wild, ridiculous. But like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is just like a game show. Like it could be on 1 night a week, 5 nights a week. Like why 3? Why not just 1? Like it's really
Yeah.
it's really strange. But this
It
was a
on,
mania.
yeah, and it was on like at a good slot.
Oh, it was ABC built their entire like prime time
Yeah.
lineup around it at this time.
It wasn't like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, which is like early evening.
Yeah, this is like we're back with
Yeah.
prime time game shows. Yeah,
The
this
Vegas
because
Velvet.
this begat, the weakest link Deal or No Deal era of the early aughts. I have no nostalgia for the years 1999 through 2005.
I was in college for most of them.
Yeah, I don't people because I only talk about this because there are drag queens who are younger than me. On Drag Race and in drag right now, there are a lot of people who are, of course, younger than me that have a lot of nostalgia, who were born in like the late 90s or early 2000s, that have a lot
Oh,
of nostalgia for all that aesthetic and stuff. It's like, oh, it's very Y2K. And in my point of view, I'm just like, that is the ugliest stuff. Please, absolutely not. Keep your pleather and all denim everything and like gel spiky tipped hair, horrible music. Keep it all. Horrible top 40. Garage rock was great. But like, yeah,
I,
really.
I feel like I stopped listening to new music around 1999, 2000-ish.
Well, I mean, yeah, my period of expertise of music stopped in 2005, probably.
So you listen to bands that are popular, that are good, that I've heard, and I'm like I enjoy the Decemberists. I have not listened to more than maybe 5 songs by the Decemberists.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Death Cab for Cutie, the
Mm.
songs I've heard, I like. I just stopped listening to new music and just dove back into ridiculous stuff from like the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah, and also yeah, my college
Yeah.
was like me discovering post punk and Gang of Four and the Kinks and
Oh,
yeah,
I got to tell you an amazing story. So, when I was in college, 1999 through 2000, that was my sophomore year. It was my first year at Alfred University in Alfred, New York, and I was a DJ for the radio station. And our advisor was a communications professor. I won't mention his name. But everyone loved this guy. A bunch of my friends had him as an advisor, for academic advisor. He was also the radio station advisor. And he and I kind of like had some conversations. He'd come in when I was on the air and he introduced me to some music. He introduced me to Iggy Pop. He introduced me to Modern Lovers, Jonathan Richman. And he gave me his copy of Alice Cooper's Billion Dollar Babies.
ah,
I still have with the post-it note that he wrote to me on it. I still
aw.
have that. And then he got a job teaching in Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, La Crosse, and he became the chancellor. And he was just in the news in the past 2 months, for starring in several adult videos with his wife on OnlyFans, and also having a YouTube series where he and his wife cook vegan meals with porn stars, and then they have sex afterwards.
Oh my God.
So he lost his he has been removed from his position as chancellor. um, but yeah, so that's kind of when
Honestly,
I
he
stopped
should
listening to new music.
I mean, they should give him a job of like teaching new media. You get a fucking
Yeah,
professor that understands OnlyFans and YouTube. Like,
yeah.
this is how you get students excited.
There was a petition going around that his students put out being like, reinstate him because those videos are low key good.
My God.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think any of my professors dabbled in such.
They
I
are
wish
out there.
not.
You can,
The
yeah.
CBS Monday night lineup, which is here's why I didn't watch. King of Queens, Ladies
Oh.
Man, Everybody Loves Raymond, Becker, and 48 Hours. Old people shows. I mean, I was 15, so but now like Everybody Loves Raymond is funny. I have watched, a nice chunk of it.
Where does
Um,
Everybody Loves Raymond take place? Because King of Queens is in Queens and Becker's in Bronx.
and it's Long Island. I think
Okay.
they might all be part. They're probably all part of the. I know King of Queens and Raymond are part of the same universe, so Becker might also be part of
Oh.
it. Now, what are you watching? On ABC, it's Monday night, and all your rowdy friends have come over to watch Dallas Cowboys at Minnesota Vikings on ABC.
All of my
Um,
rowdy friends, you
all your
say?
rowdy friends come over on Monday night. On CBS, Becker, even after getting shot in the shoulder while trying to rescue just Rob Jacob, Alex Dessert, Becker, Ted Danson, is still able to annoy everyone in the hospital. On Fox, we got Ally McBeal. Betty White guest stars as a psychiatrist who prescribes Prozac for Allie, Callista Flockhart, after she experiences a series of strange hallucinations. And on NBC, we've got A Magical Land of the Leprechauns Part 2. Randy Quaid stars with Roger Daltrey and Whoopi Goldberg in the special effects riddled story of a burned out businessman who finds himself in the middle of an ancient Irish feud between the fairies and the leprechauns in this fantasy. What are you watching?
Oh my God. I have zero interest in the leprechauns. However, Roger Daltrey's presence puts the finger on the scales for me
Not
because I'm
Randy
like,
Quaid and Whoopi Goldberg.
1999, I was in the height of my Who mania. I
So did you
fucking
not
love
know
the
this?
Who. I didn't. He does a lot of TV and movies that I have no interest in seeing. But should one show up, like the episode of CSI he was in, where
Oh God,
he
no, he
did the
didn't.
oh yeah, he did the makeup as a black woman.
Oh no, I thought you meant like he was gonna say, "Who are you?"
No, instead, he is a former rock star who's faked his death and is living in Las Vegas with a lot of makeup on. So he in one scene he plays a black housekeeper with a lot of latex on
Jesus
and takes it
Christ.
off and he's Roger Daltrey from The
Oh my
Who.
God. Uh, I am watching Ally McBeal. I probably did watch Ally McBeal that night because Ally McBeal was, I think, the only Fox show that I watched.
Had I not known that Roger Daltrey was in the Leprechaun thing, I probably would have watched Becker.
Yeah.
Like my mom remembers Becker. She's like, I liked Becker. It was a funny
Becker,
show.
babe. Now I do think so. This magical land of the leprechauns thing, which I'd never heard of, but this sounds the fact that it is air quote special effects riddled. I like that because that's not a positive connotation. But this seems very much in line with Gulliver's Travels, the Merlin with Sam Neill, all of those
Yeah.
wild late 90s, early 2000s TV miniseries events that were like had all the special effects that you would only see in music videos. And they're like, we're going to put those in a show.
Can I also talk to you about just real quick about Magical Land of the Leprechauns? Because it was a series, it was a limited series, but it also had Colm Meaney in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It had Zoe Wanamaker, it had Kieran Culkin, and it had Tony Curran and Peter Serafinowicz.
See, I low key would like to cover There is an interesting miniseries to be had of like covering all the late 90s like TV movie miniseries like debacles, because you get casts. I mean, like that Merlin is like Sam
Yeah.
Neill, Martin Short, Isabella Rossellini, or like Helena Bonham Carter. Like it's a wild cast.
Martin Short did a couple of these because he was also the Mad Hatter in this in the version of Alice in Wonderland that was the
Ted
same
Danson,
thing.
wasn't Ted Danson Gulliver?
Ted Danson was Gulliver.
So I don't know. This could be Patreon content if anyone would ever be interested.
Hint, hint.
I would love. God, yeah, yeah. Gen Z has no idea what wild stuff used to air on television.
Uh, Merlin. Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember what was the oh no, I'm thinking something else. There
Well, and
was
then there
another
was also like,
Tenth Kingdom.
oh yeah, oh then
Same
there was the
deal.
Steven Weber Shining, the like
Yeah.
Stephen King approved. This is the real Shining. Like,
Have
no,
you seen Doctor Sleep?
no, but
The
I
Mike
wouldn't mind.
Flanagan Doctor Sleep? It's
Yeah,
really good.
I would bet it's a good guy.
I think the weakest part is when it tries to tie itself into The Shining, but otherwise it's a great film.
And now I wonder what Steven Weber would look like in Doctor
Hmm.
Sleep.
Oh, that's a good
Or no,
question.
no,
He
wait,
probably
who
looked
is
like
the
Steven
modern
Weber.
day equivalent of Steven Weber?
Ewan McGregor.
I'm like, okay. It's like Jack Nicholson is to Steven Weber as Ewan McGregor is to
Steven Weber.
Tim Daly. No. Yeah. So on IMDb, 115 Becker heads gave this an 8.0 out of 10. What do you think? I would
I
go 7.
I'd definitely go lower for all the gay jokes.
Yeah. Now, one or two of them are good. The scene, the back and forth with the cop and Becker is great. No notes, keep it in. Everything else we don't
But
need.
yeah, Bob came in with some flowers, and he does the most most offensive joke of the
Oh God,
episode.
he's like, hey, yeah, can you spruce these up some? Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't like Bob.
no, Bob sucks. Who had the must-see performance? Bob. No.
Definitely not Bob.
I might say the ditzy secretary. I liked her delivery.
She's one of those kind of characters that's like weird and kind of quirky and stands out in episodes. Like a lot of sitcoms have them.
Yeah.
I'd say Richard Kind is kind of the same way in Spin City.
Oh, yeah.
Like that same kind of like weird voice. I would say
Now I'm just imagining Richard Kind like playing Kimmy Gibbler or like Beth on News Radio, or just Richard Kind is your redheaded secretary.
to put that guy in more stuff. Can't get enough of him. I would say that the must-see performance is Ted Danson.
Okay, going out on a ledge.
But
Great
like
choice.
he's he's acting. He's acting angry. And you know that Ted Danson is not that angry in real life. He's
No,
Ted
and like,
Danson. He just
yeah,
came
and
off Cheers.
Sam wasn't really that either. He had layers, very fleshed out.
Yeah.
Must other people see this episode of Becker? Must they? If you're only
I
going to
was
see one Becker episode,
no,
this
no.
is my one.
Watch other well, you're gonna have to watch another one for next episode.
Yeah, oh God.
I would say don't watch this episode. There are probably other episodes that are better. I think that it's still there are a lot of good jokes that do hit.
Yeah, and it is
Um,
interesting seeing that CBS aesthetic, because they all the networks had different aesthetics, and I think Becker feels very much like Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, that same kind of vibe. I will say, because I saw a couple like later this season, John Astin guest stars in an episode,
ooh,
but it's from like March 2000, so we will never be able to talk about it.
nope.
So
It'll
therefore, I
have
can't
to be-
watch it.
But you can watch it on your own time.
No
No,
podcast or nothing. No.
I will never watch anything past 1999.
Oh, and oh my God, that's everything? Wow, we did it. Becker late than never.
I think it's one of those series that lasted 6 episodes. It was
6
ubiquitous in the
seasons.
90s. It lasted 6 seasons,
Magical
129
Land of
episodes.
Leprechauns lasted 6.
but like it's you can only find it on Pluto TV. It is not discussed. I actually thought it was the Ted Danson show when I looked it up.
Oh,
Not that
wow.
it was called Becker. Um, but it's just television, baby. It's you can run for dozens and dozens of episodes and you're forgotten about.
Well, yeah, I mean, what, Yes, Dear?
Yes, dear.
Yeah. That
How
was
many
another
episodes?
like early 2000s CBS sitcom that like ran for 5, 6 seasons. And no.
I
My
mean,
Wife and Kids, according to Jim, where are these
yep.
shows? No, according to Jim, is still in reruns. I learned a lot about what is in reruns on local television when I was doing jury duty. Because they would like, man, they would put on the fucking like it's like the Laughs channel or something. It was like they were giving us a treat. It's like, oh, we've been good. Here's a treat. I'm gonna turn
But it's
on
like
this
Necco wafers.
loud. It's like we're like, we don't care. Please turn off according to Jim.
It's like we give you a little
Oh,
treat, but it's like a bit of honey.
yeah.
Like oh, it's kind of sweet, but I guess it's better than nothing.
Yeah. So next time we'll be talking about Becker. At some point, we're going to talk about Magical Land of the Leprechauns.
Uh, 1999, baby.
And
1999.
where can people find you if they want to talk about other entries in Roger Daltrey's filmography?
Uh, check me out on Instagram, Ethan K55. Brett, where can people check you out? Or Barb.
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett White, and you can also follow my drag career as Barb Hardley on Instagram and YouTube at Barb Hardley, where I am now opening up packets of sitcom trading cards as Barb. And I got some Lucy and Andy Griffith cards for Christmas. So I did that.
Aw.
I might explore those further. And yeah, thanks to Acast for hosting the podcast. Please rate and review in iTunes. Please hang out. Please talk. Please email musthaveseen@gmail.com. Please take care of yourselves as the snow has gripped our I was gonna say fair country, but that ain't true. our
Uh,
our
Our
mess of a
fair
country.
Northeast locale where we
Yeah.
live and broadcast from.
And until next time.
Keep those grades up.
Oh, and then we'll take you to Chuck E. Cheese.